I'm recovering from a allergic reaction, and my 3-year-old is crying upstairs, but the show must go on. Hit it. Welcome back to my show, the Whiskey Show, which doesn't have a name, with Droopy Whiskey. That's me. Hey, stoked to have you guys here. Let's start with a little quick what's in my glass, and it is not bourbon tonight. The aforementioned allergic reaction is true. I do react to food periodically. Tonight it was the coconut milk in some Thai curry. The Thai curry was amazing, but the coconut milk got me. Produces a mild anaphylactic reaction. I'm gonna make it though. So the caffeine in coffee helps you not die. It's a stimulant which helps in an anaphylactic reaction. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about whiskey. And even though I'm not drinking whiskey, doesn't mean we can't talk about it. Probably means I'll speak more eloquently today, actually. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Stoked to have you guys here. Couple news item things to be aware of. First off, I started doing weekly live streams on YouTube. The first one was awesome, and you can go back and watch it. I did a bottle pop with Rare Breed Rye. And I also announced the launch of my Keep It Neat t-shirt, which you can now get. I'll put the link down in the show notes below, which that's pretty cool. Secondly, coffee news, actually. My day job is Director of Operations for Stone Creek Coffee, and I got us a coupon code that you can use for 15% off Stone Creek Coffee. So go to stonecreekcoffee.com. Use the code DroopyWhiskey to get 15% off through New Year's Eve. You'll also get free shipping with UPS Ground. So you're not getting stuff in time for Christmas, but you'll still get it. Also, going back to that t-shirt, the Keep It Neat t-shirt, I actually don't have them in hand yet. They'll be in probably New Year's week early, and then I'll get them out the day after New Year's. So if you want to support the show, just buy one of those t-shirts, buy some coffee. We'll have a grand old time. That next live stream is going to be the day before Christmas. So Christmas Eve. I'm doing them on a regular basis Thursday nights at 8 o'clock Central Time, but this Thursday is Christmas Eve, so Wednesday it is. Now let's get into the show, which is the only 5 bourbons that you need, or 5 bourbons that you should have in your collection, or if you had to boil your collection down to 5 bourbons, these are the ones I think that you need to accomplish the spectrum of bourbon. You don't want 5 bourbons that all taste alike. You don't want 5 bourbons all for the same occasion. You need a diversity of bourbon. Diversity is good. So we're going to celebrate that today with 5 bourbons you need in your collection. First up is the everyday drinker. You can't have 5 bourbons and not have one that you don't feel bad about going to every single day. I mean, not that you drink every single day, but let's imagine you did. You need one that you're like, yeah, I can drink this every day. It's not going to break the bank. It's not like I'm going to run out of it. I can go to the grocery store and get more. And I'm going to do this, as I name this particular whiskey, what I'll tell you with this list of 5 is I'm going to give you 2 options for each of these 5 bourbons. They're all kind of the same, the 2 options, but you can decide whether to go budget friendly or slightly upscale. And we'll talk about the pros and cons of each. So the first one for that everyday bourbon, that's going to be Evan Williams White Label, which is bottled in bond, or Evan Williams Single Barrel. I named both of these because they're both perfect options for an everyday drinker. The bottled in bond is slightly higher proof, so if you want something with a little more knockdown power as your daily drinker, that White Label is going to suit you just fine. If you want a more refined, like more impressive bottle, so you want that budget bourbon that you can whip out, share with your friends and not feel embarrassed to give them something bottom shelf, then that single barrel is only $5 more. You're going to lose a few proof points, but you're going to pick up some flavor points. So either one of those for your daily drinker, Evan Williams White Label bottled in bond, or that wax top single barrel, it's going to be awesome. Both from Heaven Hill, the quality level in that product is fantastic for what you get, or for what you pay. So you can't go wrong there. Good coffee. So now that we got that entry-level bourbon covered, we're going to go into the flavor spectrum here. We need a wheated bourbon, we need a low rye bourbon, and we need a high rye bourbon. We're going to talk about what those taste like as we go. First, we need this softer, sweeter, wheated product here. And again, we need options, but I think there's one family that just nails it perfectly, and that's Makers, specifically the Makers Stave finished item. So Makers 46 or Makers Private Select barrel picks. So if you're going to go wheated, you have to pick one wheated option. I think that's where you go because it's attainable. You can get it. You can get these products. Makers Private Select picks, the barrel strength, select stave, blah, 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 is everywhere. Makers 46 is also everywhere and is really cost effective. You can get it for $30 around Mead on sale. I mean, it is on sale at that. Standard MSRP is right around 40. And man, that's just a really rich bourbon. If you don't want something spicy, you need something more like desserty, really kind of chocolatey, a little bit of, like dark chocolate and cinnamon. Just a suggestion of cinnamon though. You don't get the herbaceous characteristics that are brought in by rye. It's more like candy. Candy, chocolate, and caramel together. It's a Snickers bar without the peanuts. So Milky Way. Yes, Makers 46 is a Milky Way with some fruit. And then if you want to splurge and go again with something a little bit more impressive, that Private Select ups the ante. It's cask strength. It may taste a little bit different than the 46 because Makers will use the different wood staves in each Private Select pick depending on what the store wants. But those two in tandem, I mean, you need a wheated bourbon to last you for the rest of your life. Go in one of those directions. That's because you probably can't find the Weller line. I love Weller 107, but I can't always find it. I have to really work to get it. So yeah, got to go with Makers here. So now we've got our wheated bourbon. Let's go low rye. By low rye, I mean less than 20% rye in the mash bill. It's going to give us a little bit more spicy notes than a wheated bourbon would in all likelihood, but it's not going to be as rye forward, obviously, as a HiRI, which I would consider north of 20%. And for that, I'm going to go with Old Forester single barrels. Now, this is not a standard release product from Old Forester, but you can find these, and these guys, the barrel strength versions, are becoming more prevalent. You can find them. So these products come in at 18% rye in their mash bill, and they're not very spicy. Particularly these 90 proof versions. I mean, you get banana, oak. It's similar to Eagle Rare almost a little bit for me, except for the banana. You get more banana here, but you also get cherry. And then due to the heat cycling that Old Forester does within their rick houses, you tend to get a decent amount of age, that oakiness, on a relatively young bourbon. I heard most of these are within the 4 to 6 year old range, and they don't taste like it often. Really, really good stuff. And the 90 proof, which I think is discontinued now, I think they're only doing 100 proof for the barrel strength, but you can still find some of the 90 proof around. Just really, really accessible flavor profile. Really chill, smooth, easy to drink. But if you want, something that will punch you in the face, look for one of these barrel strength versions. They're coming in pretty hot from the one I tasted. I've not tasted this one yet, but packs a wallop. To me, in the entire Brown-Forman line of products, being Jack Daniel's, Woodford Reserve, and Old Forester, I'm going to lean Old Forester in that group of brands every single day. Woodford Reserve is like all bananas. I'm not really a big fan of Jack Daniel's, although some of their barrel strength single barrels can be pretty good. Still not my flavor profile that I love. And that banana note is most tame in the Old Foresters. And you do probably get the most oak out of all those product lines in Old Forester as well, which I really like. And it doesn't tend to be a very drying mouthfeel because Old Forester really focuses on the quality of their blends, making sure that whatever they bring together tastes really good. And I know that their master taster oversees their barrel select program, so there's probably a high level of curation that goes into selecting these barrels as well. They don't just pull anything off the shelf to offer to stores. So yeah, low rye, probably going Old Forester single barrel every single day. So I choose these as I chose the makers because there's options in the family. Like depending on what your ideal proof point is. Some of you may like, hey, I like the lower proof stuff. 90 proof really works. Some of you may say 100 proof is my money zone. That's kind of my money zone. Some of you may say I want the barrel strength, and this one is quite a heater at 127 proof. So you got options here, even though it's kind of technically the same product. Next up, HiRI. So this would be a product that has more than 20% rye in its mash bill. And this is actually a blend of HiRI products. Like when I think of HiRI bourbons, it's hard for me to think of something better than well-vetted barrels coming out of MGP in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. So we're going with an MGP product in the Mead bourbons. So there's two generally that you can get that are straight bourbons. The standard Mead, and then this, the Mead Reserve. I don't have the standard one on me right now, so you just get a look at this. The standard Mead looks pretty much like this. It doesn't say Reserve, and then it's a white label with red and gold accents. But the standard Mead is a blend of 6 to 8 year old barrels apparently, which is a nice age. And then it's a blend of the two higher rye MGP mash bills, one in the 20% rye range, one in the 35% rye range. So you get a good amount of spicy notes in the Mead products. And then you can always level up if you're able to find some of the Mead Reserve, which is getting more widely distributed now. There's still some around me. It was released like 2 months ago, and I can still find some around Milwaukee. I know that there's some down in Texas because that's where my extended family is. And this makes the perfect product when you want something that's going to give you a little more savory option in your bourbon. So the maker is very sweet. The Old Forester, also very sweet. Now we're getting into a much more spicy kind of product in these Mead options. And then just dial in your proof. Do you want the everyday one at 90.4 proof? Really solid option. Or do you want to take it to the next level? I mean, if it's me and I gotta choose between the two, between these lower proof or higher proof editions, I'm gonna go with the higher proof because I can always add a little water and bring it down. Like I can make the bourbon's proof work for me if I need to. And then if you're an ice person, which I don't really recommend, I like to, keep it neat. You can add ice to those barrel proof versions and they'll at least hold up for you a little bit better. So that's HiRI. Now, before we get to this last bourbon, like these whiskeys are for the every person. I'm not dropping George T. Stagg or Four Roses limited editions because, hey, these are hard to get. Even Blanton's, I can't guarantee you that you're going to find. So what do you get when you want the special occasion whiskey? You really just want to celebrate. Now, for me, you guys know if you've watched any of my videos, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is going to be one of those ones that I reach for. But I want to recommend something different because you probably heard me talk about Elijah Craig Barrel Proof enough times. And I want this to be something that you can probably get. So you can probably get it. It's really, really good and it looks dope. Like those are the qualifications for this final special occasion whiskey. And this one I'm going Booker's. Booker's from Jim Beam. Booker's is the barrel proof small batch bourbon from Jim Beam. Baker's is a close second at 107 proof, but Booker's is uncut, unfiltered, and high octane. So this one is 126.5 proof. This was the second batch of 2020. Each batch gets named, so this one is Boston batch. I think the batch 3 this year was Pigskin batch, football, obviously. And Booker's just does it. I mean, it's an intense bourbon, so, if your He-Man brother-in-law comes over and he's like, I want the biggest, baddest. All right, cool. Let's go Booker's. It is the biggest, baddest bourbon that you can find on the shelf. And you won't find it every day, but look around town and check back every couple of weeks, and you'll probably be able to score a bottle or two of Booker's. Now, the downside to this one is the price has been going up. I mean, it's probably a fair price now at about 80, but I'm seeing them creep into 90, and it's probably not too long before it hits the $100 mark, and that's going to be hard for me to spring for at 100. But in the 80 range, I still think the price point is good. This is generally between a 6 and 7 year bourbon, and it's got all kinds of flavor. So it does not taste young by any stretch of the imagination. It's very spicy. It's very nutty. It's got some pronounced oak, and it just will light your mouth on fire, both in terms of the heat and in terms of the overall flavor. Just super flavorful Jim Beam small batch bourbon. It looks lovely in this box. So yeah, it fits nicely in the box. It's got the wax top, which this is actually, they recently changed the wax, thankfully, Jim Beam has on their waxed products, because it used to be terrible trying to get in a bottle of Booker's or into a bottle of Knob Creek. The wax would splinter and go everywhere. It was terrible. So they've sort of fixed that. So that's it. Those are my 5 bourbons that I think you need to have. I think you cover the flavor spectrum with those. You got options between proofs and all those. So did I recommend 5? I kind of recommended 9. Well, that's my show. It's my rules. So I think you guys will dig those. If you haven't journeyed through those 5, you definitely should do so. If you disagree with me and you would recommend other whiskeys, let me know in the comments. I appreciate your feedback for sure. If you like this video, get down there and like the video, subscribe, bell notification, the whole 9 yards. Your support that way just helps my channel grow, and I appreciate it. Follow me on Instagram at Drew P. Whiskey. I go live on Instagram a couple of times a week just to talk about what I'm drinking or sip something that one of you guys sent me in the mail, so do a little mail call. That's just a good way to connect with the channel further. Again, that's Instagram at Drew P. Whiskey. Stay tuned to the channel this Wednesday. Again, we're going to go live, do a YouTube live stream. We're going to bottle pop Wild Turkey Master's Keep Decades Batch 1. I mean, it's 2 days before Christmas, so that's going to be my Christmas whiskey this year. Looking forward to trying that for the first time, because I've never tried it, on the live stream. And we'll just chat together and have a good time. If we don't connect again before Christmas, just have a great holiday, and remember to keep it neat. Cheers.